Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Majamam Asmadacharya Parintam Vande Guru Param. Om Shanti 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 Om Vishwara Namaste. We are here, 13th chapter. We have seen up to the verse 27, and we on the 28th, if I'm not wrong. We have seen the sadhanas, the structure in a way as 5 sadhanas, meaning Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, the Vedantic sadhanas, preceded by Karma Yoga and Upasana. So, all sadhanas lead to God knowledge, or God realization, or self-knowledge. And Swami Ji says that Krishna and Shankaracharya, we are never tired to point out that by knowledge alone the self can be realized, because the seeker is the self, and she just needs to understand that. And the direct understanding is the only way to go, and that passes by knowledge. You need to look into the ways we have wrapped up our sense of identity within on the body-mind complex, and then we need to see the fallacy, within that kind of misidentification, until the mind begins relaxing in the sense that it does not be afraid of letting go of that sense of identity, because it's almost as if the mind fights, because the mind is another way we call the ahamkara, the pseudo entity, and that believes that I am the self. So the mind, the ahamkara, needs to relax, and knowledge is going to allow the ahamkara to understand that the ahamkara itself has a higher nature, which does not produce the suffering caused by its inferior, false identity as the body mind. So the mind must relax, and knowledge is a wonderful tool to relax and prepare the mind. Okay, so I'm not going to lose anything. The mind has to come to that understanding. I'm not going to lose anything. I can let go. I can surrender. I can give it back to Ishwara. Ishwara gave me his aham. His aham was built around body mind. Aham, body mind as me. And now we can say, okay, Ishwara, I understand that was necessary somehow. By now, I give back to you that fundamental error, and I take my true nature to be your own nature as Satchitananda Brahman, and that needs to go through knowledge, because knowledge alone is going to allow the ahamkara to relax and let go. But of course, in order to relax and let go, the ahamkara needs to surrender, needs to develop a certain sense. You see, the ahamkara, it relaxes and refines itself, it purifies itself to the extent that the sense I am the doer, I'm the enjoyer, start fading. As long as that I am the doer, and I am the thinker, and I am the enjoyer, I'm the sufferer, as long as it is there, the ahamkara's sense of identity is too crystallized. So the process by which the ahamkara relax, to put in the words I began our class today, goes through the melting away of the sense of authorship, doership, enjoyership, thinkership. So that begins fading, and the first step for letting go of this fundamental ignorance is by, as we say, resolving the ahamkara in Ishwara. Okay? So you resolve Ishvara in Ishvara, not as Ishvara, because the Jiva is never going to be omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent as Ishvara. You know. So you resolve it in Ishvara, understand this. Ishvara is a totality of everything that brings about the Ahamkara and brings about the sense of identification as doership and enjoyership. So you say this is just somehow a misconception. It's common to human beings, and I have to give back to Ishvara that piece of ignorance. I have to surrender to Ishvara. I have to resolve his ahamkara, understand the higher power, the power that holds the entire picture, holds all the elements, all the factors, bringing about the human experience. You say, I'm just an integral part of something which is so bigger than me. And from that standpoint, there is a certain free will being exercised, but there isn't, as I often like to put, the fundamental exercise of free will is like I surrender my sense of doership to the Lord. I follow, God's laws and principles, and I observe Lord's laws and principles. I live within the rules of the Lord. Yeah? So observance of Dharma is the most fundamental and actually the only choice that the jiva may do, because the Ahamkara is going to make choice all the time. But if it is impregnated with a sense that I am enjoy, I am choosing, I am doing, I am deciding, that is going to produce suffering. Uh, so what is the most fundamental choice we do? Is just to let go of this piece of ignorance, the sense of authorship, doership, and enjoyership, which is the source of all suffering. Uh, and then is the most is fundamental is the only exercise of free will we can do is to live in accordance to the principles and laws of the Creator. This is a big one, because if we do that, we just dedicate everything to the Lord, receiving whatsoever come as a gift from the Lord, and so on. So if we make that right choice, we are good to go, because all other choices are going to be Lord's choice. You understand? Any parabada is Lord's parabada karma for this soul in this moment, in this period, time, space. But moving forward, Lord Krishna is going to be talking about the benefits of self-knowledge. And we have seen the different angles. One of them is a vision, darshana, equanimous darshana, a vision that everything is Ishvara, everything is Brahman, is a proper perspective. We have seen that everything here is a Prakriti nature, Maya's nature, Prakriti nature, and the Purusha nature. The entire cosmos is a mixture of both principles. So we live mix up with these two principles, spirit and matter. And we have to develop a certain vision to see the oneness, in spite of the diversity, plurality, of manifestations, configurations of the Prakriti of Maya. So we have to see the oneness. And this oneness, this is a common misunderstanding. People think that the oneness is somehow bring together all singularities, all, configurations. So we are one as a whole made out of many parts. Yeah? So Vedanta says, no, the sum total, everything which is project, by the power of Maya, that is called Ishvara. It's not called Brahman. Ishvara is the totality of all parts. Everything contained within this projection is another name for Virat, or Ishvara manifests as Vishvarupa. You know, so that is the vision. But we want to understand that our vision is a vision of sameness because everything is only the substratum called Brahman. So upon Brahman, there is a projection of Ishvara, and then Ishvara brings always with itself the jivas, and then a stage on which the jivas can interact for some purpose. So Ishvara Jiva Jagata is a superimposition obtained by the Prakriti of Maya. And we have seen also Swami explain that we need to have a balance because for as long as we incarnate in a body, we live in a Prakriti world. And we cannot just say, no, no, I am only Purusha and I don't care for my Prakriti nature, and much less to understand the laws and principles that govern this Prakriti universe. It is a superimposition, it is an appearance, it appears and disappears and changes and so on, but it's there. It's not that it's not there, it's there. And we need to live in accordance with its rules and laws and principles. And how we're going to learn about this? We have to become a religious person to understand the meaning of Dharma, you know, what is behind this concept called the Dharma that all religions talk about somehow. So we need to appreciate the invisible Purusha the same way that we learn to appreciate electricity running through all the wires, producing so many different effects through so many different devices. You know. So we learn to to appreciate the device, but also the electricity because that is a clear knowledge. We have got that knowledge. That knowledge, it does not is not subject to forgetfulness. So without electricity, we don't have a civilization nowadays. If we have a collapse of electrical power on the planet, we completely lose our civilization. We go back to the age of stones. We need to keep our vision of the invisible Purusha as we navigate within the visible Prakriti world. It's often present this scene, this vision, the seer, drisha, the seer and the scene. This seer is is something that sees not through the physical eyes and not either from the mind and its ability to make inference. It's seen, this Purusha is seen by something that is often referred as the eye of wisdom or Vedic wisdom, Vedic eyes, or the sixth sense, and so on. The third eye. How to acquire this third eye, we know very well. It's a gradual development. The mind needs to be purified and refined so that it starts seeing the unseen, starts seeing the invisible, not as a shape, a form, but as something very subtle. But thanks God, the mind became so subtle that now it sees it, something that is not tangible and available as a namarupa, but it's there as a substratum. How to see it? You know, is this you require the development of the eyes of wisdom to see the invisible Purusha. Swam talks a little bit about the beautiful representation in India of the third eye here. Yeah. that he's giving as a hint that things have changed so much in India that even this 20, 25 years ago that nobody wants to wear it anymore. It's out of fashion. They feel ashamed to put on the potu. But this represents the third eye, the eye of wisdom, presented by the Vedas. It's a symbol, and it relates to the chakra as well. It's Arjuna chakra, Purna Yanam, beautiful. Being Purna, Jnana means Yanam. So this third eye symbolized through Ajna chakra is the invisible eye, which is aware of the Purusha principle, the invisible Purusha. So we live in a world which is somehow colored by these two principles, Purusha and Prakriti. And Prakriti, as we know, is subject to change, appearance, and disappearance. It's subject to time and space. It's variable according to the individual. And Purusha is one and the same. It's universal. You know, there is only one Purusha, one spirit, one conscious existence. It appears as if covered by the superimposition of Prakriti, but Prakriti is not covering it the same way the projection upon the screen in the cinema is not really covering the screen, you know. The screen is there, and everybody with enough vision will go there and will see the screen and the projection upon the screen. So this is all a projection. Some will say it's a projection of the mind. Some will say it's a projection of Maya. But the fact is that it happens. It's obtained in the mind, through the mind. And when the mind changes states, this projection disappears. When we go into deep sleep, the projection disappears. It says something about the nature of this projection. It's there, it's not there. So to exercise the vision of our physical eyes, we do not need scriptures, we don't need a teacher, we don't need training, sadhanas, and everything. So we were born, if we are like, we have a good pair of eyes, and and then we're gonna see the world. And but to get this darshana, the vision of reality, the vision of God, the physical eyes will not happen, will not help. We need the eye of wisdom. And we get the vision through a gradual process by which you purify, refine, and we start seeing reality as a darshana, a vision of reality. Now I see the real reality of this world is the substratum. And you have the superimposition. Now I'm having a vision of reality. The Danta is very often present as a darshana, a different vision. You have a vision of reality, a vision of what is there as the only real factor, principle, which is the screen of consciousness or the substratum. So one is nirguna, one is saguna, one is nirvikara, what is savikara, and so on. One is chetana, the other is a chetana, one is satya, the other is mitya. And in that does not mean that we're gonna lose our vision of the Prakriti superimposition. So the wise will see both and will find the balance of seeing both. Balance. Hmm? We need to see the Prakriti superimposition because we need to navigate within the superimposition. But we also need to see Purusha so that we can feel clear and safe, knowing that I am of the nature of Purusha, the only reality, not affected by this superimposition or projection. The same way we appreciate both the light and the electricity, we will find the balance to appreciate both Prakriti and Purusha. And when somebody asks, "Who are you?" you don't say, "I am God, I am consciousness, I am Purusha, I don't change." All of those things, there is no need to say that. Reminds me of Ramji. There was a time in the old days when I first met him that you could not ask him, "How are you?" because he would say, "What a question. You know? I'm always full and almost good, always good." You know? And you say, "Okay, Ramji, okay." But I was meaning your Prakriti nature. How is your Prakriti nature doing? You know? So you need to find a balance. There are occasions when Prakriti creates problems, and then you better have this vision, the vision of reality. It's available to you: old age, illness, and death, and cries of life. When I look back into my life, my God, I went through so many cries. I have had so many profound experience of emotional suffering, and everything passes. You know? And when you have the knowledge of your true nature as Purusha, you go through those difficult moments in a much easier manner. You know? So I went through these emotional, profound sufferings without having knowledge in regards to my true nature as consciousness. And that makes the suffering, stay a little longer. So to be fully identified with Prakriti creates problems. Mortality being the biggest one. So Swami often presents this: just tune it to Satya and then tune it back to Nitya, tune it to Satya. So when Nitya has become very problematic, then tune it to Satya. So this is something that has to be acquired before. Some people, they come in contact with Vedanta and they believe in the end, in the beginning, that now that I know what is Satya, what is Mithya intellectually, when I have a huge crisis, yeah, in this Prakriti realm, if I have huge challenge and dramatic situations, I will go and I tune it to Satya, and then I'm good to go. I'm Satya, this is Mithya. So what happens usually is that the mind, which is not properly established in its nature as Satya, but it's still established in its false identity as a Mithya body mind, that mind, when it faces severe crisis, it loses discrimination and he cannot be benefited by the remembrance: I am Satya and I'm free from anything of this world. You understand? Because the mind is not properly established in its true identity. First, we need to get this knowledge properly assimilated so that we can change channel, you know, effectively. You channel, okay, no. Actually, the channel changes by itself. It's just that you remind yourself, no, all is good. This channel problem, what should you do? Change the channel. I'm just making here a side commentary because this My students in Brazil bring it up sometimes that they want to apply such a media discrimination in moments of crisis, and it does not work. And why it does not work? Because the identification with the Prakriti nature and the Prakriti Parabhada is so profoundly hardwired that it's not enough to say I'm Satya and this is all Mithya. And then what is the way to go? You're going to resolve the mind by understand the Ishwara nature, the Ishwara Jiva Jagat nature, the nature of Mithya, the appearing order, Ishwara Jiva Jagata. uh, So if you understand that, and then you're going to develop that which Swamiji often puts as resistance, immunity, balance, you know, uh, ability to deal with huge challenges or adversities, understanding that it's coming from God and it serves certain purpose. And then at the most, the Kami Yogi will say, oh Lord, this is really tough. Now you are throwing at me something that's a big one, you know. And then what he's gonna do? I am such this is a Nietzsche because somehow this I am such is not properly established yet. And then you say, so Ishwara, please, I'm your devotee, I'm putting everything into it, give me the power, the force, okay? Give me the courage and the force to handle this without complaints, you know, without any, losing my mind completely. It may hurt, but give me the strength to deal with such an adversity. Adversity such as losing a child, a son, or somebody that you love the most. Which is different from say, okay, now this was my Mitya child. So who is the parent who is going to say, no, no, this is a Mitya child, and I'm Satya. You know? No, the parent is so involved emotionally with the child that is going to feel it. Did I ever tell you the story of Ramesh Balsika? You know Ramesh Balsika? Ramesh Balsika is one disciple of Nisargadatta Maharaj that in its last few years became the translator. And because he was the translator, he was a previous president of Bank of India. He had such a status. He was famous, and he was supposed to be self-realized, and he became a kind of a guru. Although I was never attracted by the way he was expressing his knowledge and his instructions, let's say. I went to meet him twice in Bombay during the years with Papaji. And he had a disciple on his turn that it was you remember the name of his disciple?
Is this the American fellow?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
yeah. Liquorman.
That's it.
Yeah. So I forgot his first name, but something Liquorman. So Liquorman wrote a couple of books, nice books.
Wayne?
Yeah, Wayne Liquorman. Yeah. And there is a passage there that he says that he was in Ramesh's apartment there in Bombay, and then came a phone call, and then Ramesh picks up the telephone. It was telling him that his son had a car accident and died on the spot. And Ramesh crashed in tears, and he was crying, 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 crying. And then the interesting thing that Wayne says in his report that he cried very badly. And then he stopped crying, he washed his face, and he never talked about that and never expressed any emotion thereafter. You understand? It was just on the spot. Boom, hit him, and then he just recomposed himself and said, okay, this is Parabadu. That's all right. I let it out. Why? Because no matter how, I mean, maybe, I don't know if this would happen to certain highly purified beings, maybe some highly evolved beings would not even have that reaction. I don't know. I probably will have that reaction if I hear that something happened and my child is dead. But the point is that even for Yanni, I suppose Yanni, you get the hit and then you change the channel and you don't make any drama anymore. You have the full knowledge of this is Satya, I am Satya, this is Mitya. Everything in truth is Satya. The Namarupa, the Prakriti nature of everything is Mitya. And furthermore, everything that happens in Mitya is following the law of karma. It's the parabada of every soul. Okay? So this knowledge uh, is something. One time I was there in Spain in Surya Lila, and then I got a very disturbing call from my son about some dramatic thing that was happening in regard to my son and his wife, and that she went in some emotional, mental things when she was after giving birth and so on. Then I got all agitated because I had to leave Europe and rush back there to help his family. He was staying in the northern part of California with his mother and so on. And then I got excited. I passed by Varangias. Oh my God, it's amazing! I mean, again I came here. Again there is a challenge, and I have to rush from here to go to help my son. This and this is happening. And then the reaction of Ramji is similar to that you told us, Mark, when you told him about you lost your mother. He looked at me and said, "Why you are so excited, man? It's all karma, you know, you know." And then on the other hand, and around the corner, I meet Sundari and I talk to Sundari and she gives me a high, oh, go there and help your son. That is a human nature, or warm nature as whereas the other nature is a stone cold reaction.
I remember Swami Paramarthananda always talks about FIR reduction, frequency, intensity, recovery, but he doesn't talk about elimination
No,
of FIR. Yeah.
that is a point. That is a point. Even though I'm inclined to imagine, to speculate that some human beings yet in the body, have gone to such a high levels of spiritual development that those reactions may even go without making the person a stone-hearted person. So I believe that may be possible, and that's why I have been so interested to look into the life and the words of Ramana Maharaj lately because I was so much into him. And then later on, I developed an attitude saying that he was not a good teacher because he did not teach Vedanta. And then now I'm revising everything because I used to have all his books from the source there and from India, the original books. And then I read them all. But now I realized that I did not understand them as well as I do understand now. The level of depth and sophistication of his instructions and his insights, it's incredible.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm saying that some people come to him and say, Swamiji, I from Prakriti, I have everything, good life, good material life, lots of entertainment and so on. But there is something is still feeling empty inside me. Something is missing. I don't know what to complain because my life circumstances are really good. And then I find it funny when Swami mentioned when he's trying to describe good circumstances, he always puts no water problem because there the water problem is a common issue. So I don't even have a water problem, and but there is something missing. What's missing is to enjoy, to appreciate, to access one's purusha nature, because only that will pacify the mind, gives a sense of security, a sense of immortality, stability, that the prakriti nature of the world will never provide us with. Therefore, we need to have a balance, not losing complete sight of purusha, and through the transitions, I keep my purusha nature firm, atmanista, jnananista. They call it sahaja samadhi. This is very nice. I love this one. Before I met Vedanta, I was already familiarized with the terms of samadhi. And I had a certain understanding that the real deal was not nirvikalpa samadhi or savikalpa as described by some people, but the real deal was sahaja samadhi. So I got into that concept and I started seeing that sahaja samadhi was that of the highest possible value because you don't need to cancel the world around you. You don't need to make the world disappear or you yourself disappear. You are just through transacting with the world. You have your mind that is in peace because somehow you understood that everything is but consciousness. Verse 29, for uniformly seen, the Lord who dwells everywhere alike, he does not ruin by himself, whereby he attains the supreme goal. So here we have this concept of ruin, you know, so which is similar to the concept of committing spiritual waste, spiritual suicidal. So we have again and again bursts. Hopefully, we never fall to get insect births because we are good people, spiritually developed people. We hope that if any reincarnation it will be even more conducive to our spiritual elevation. But we have to always look up, be attentive, vigilant, not to decline spiritually. And if we just lose ourselves into the pursuit of sensory pleasures and securities, we may lose an opportunity to go even higher, to purify even more, to elevate ourselves, or bring forth our divine nature, you know, more and more. So this person who found the proper balance between living the Purusha world without losing sight of the living in the Prakriti world, not losing sight of the Purusha nature, the true nature of this Prakriti appearance superimposition. So he keeps seeing everything as Brahman, everything as consciousness, everything as the Lord. He sees the Namarupa and says, yes, Lord, but I understand that it's all you. And then the person uh, rejoice in the Lord, knowing that there is only Brahmano, only Ishvara. Seeing the Lord who dwells the same in everything, is the substratum, the true nature of everything. Such a person with such a dasha, such a vision, does not commit spiritual suicidal. He not destroys itself spiritually because our exercise of free will may bring about spiritual elevation or spiritual decline, and in some texts it's even present as spiritual destruction. Thereby, he attains the supreme goal. I'm going to just bring up the air conditioning because I start getting a little flu. Because immediately it comes over my seat here. So the previous verse we have seen the palan, the first palan, which is the vision of oneness, of sameness, samyaka darshanam, and it's a vision that takes care of humans' emotional problems. So I'm displaying here, calling this as a best antidepressant tablet. Okay. In this verse, Krishna gives a second benefit of this love, which is the owning up one's immortal nature. You transcend the identification with your mortal nature. So we have two natures. One is bound by time and space, therefore it has a birth and death, and the other is immortality. This is the second benefit, a huge one. And then he reminds us of this prayer. Asato ma sati gamaya, tamaso ma jyoti gamaya. You know this one? It's so beautiful. Oh Lord, take me from the untruth to the truth, from darkness to light, from mortality to immortality. So that is the process by which we own up our real nature, which is beyond time and space. And then Swami explains a little bit the meaning of this of that mantra. The wise person learns to have this vision of sameness as Brahman behind everything, in and through the Vishma darshanam, which is required for today. So he has two visions: the Prakriti superimposition of the world. I think Vishma darshana is the vision of the Prakriti nature of this world, but without losing the vision of the substratum. He sees the diversity, the plurality, but he sees the oneness, the non-dual nature of reality as consciousness. For transaction, we need to have the vision of plurality, diversity. Vishma darshana is required. Otherwise, we we get confused. Otherwise, some people go around. If this would, if there would be a certain disease development among the humans, that people get confused about one's Vishma Darshana. These super billionaire, they may go around and then they are old, they see a young body, beautiful body going around, they think, oh no, this is my body, you know, because you lost perspective of this diversity of Namarupas. No? So we cannot confuse ourselves from the standpoint of the plurality, distinction, singularity of every configuration, every object. So even among the Vedantins with you never go around say that I only see Brahman, Samma Darshana. This is more often than not, this is exhibitionism. Is there such a word? No. So just keep quiet and live a life the most simple way possible, as if you were an ordinary, stupid, and ignorant human being. But inside, I mean to say, you speak the same language with the people. We don't need to teach Vedantas to teach self-inquiry to anybody. We just demonstrate that we are beautiful, well balanced, and generous, and loving people. And then people may ask, so what happens that you seem to be a bit different? Or they may never ask you, but they appreciate to be around you. And then Swami here speaks about transaction requires Vishwamadarshana, but behind there is the oneness vision of the substrate. Savatra means in and through all the transactions. Patience, Sriran. What are those four mean, Lin and Mark?
It means seeing, hearing, touching, and smelling. They're just differently spelled. And
I
that's
was I was imagining but I was in doubt because he did not bring the five sets, but only four.
yeah.
There's one missing. The moment we lose sight of the true nature of this Prakriti superimposition as the Brahman, the only reality, Prakriti is going to frighten us. It's just like a dream. These parallels are so wonderful. I mean, we go into the dream world, and then if we lose sight that that is a dream and I am the waker, the dream is going to frighten us. And there is a possibility of dreaming frightening things, but yet you remain more like a spectator as well. But sometimes we may feel like a little bit panicking in a very, very difficult dream. The moment we lose sight of our nature as the awaker, we may go in cries through a light of nightmare. Nightmare? No. How do you say? Nightmare. Okay, we are comfortably lying in bed and so on, but we forget we are the waker and we find ourselves in a world with incredible, difficult crisis, and then we lose it. We lost sight of where I am, what I am. The same way, when Purusha is lost, Prakriti, here it's present, it becomes a nightmare. But we know that the superimposition of Prakriti does not produce only a horrible experience, produce some pleasant experience as well. That's why we fall for it as well, because it's about pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. And then we think that that's all there is to life, experience of pleasure and pain. And then the human being says, I will take both because that's the name of the game, pleasure and pain. And I'm going to try to extract as much pleasure as possible and the minimum possible pain. And then since we begin, we take that to be, the game of life, we start breaking Dharma or violate Dharma for attracting only pleasurable experience. That's the way we go. We don't understand that there is a vision of this prakriti that brings about equanimity, so that the prakriti world is not going to produce much suffering. Oh, that's great. And then I want to become a spiritual seeker. Yeah, but it's not going to produce also great happiness as well, you know, because happiness, in the way we seek and search for it, is is within these opposite pairs, happiness and suffering, happiness and suffering. So if you want to give up the terrible experience uh, available in the Prakriti superimposition, we need to know that those peak of happiness will go as well. And you're going to experience something more in the lines of peace and tranquility. It's interesting insight because if life would be only about 95% suffering, everybody would become a spiritual seeker somehow or commit suicide. But since it gives us some pleasures as well here and there, we often fall for it. I need to try harder. I need to try better. Oh, I need to wait for the next birth. So that points out to the fact that it requires tremendous amount of maturity to give up the pleasures, give up punya. Now we need to be so strong that we reject both. Yeah? We reject punya and papa. You know, no, I'm the nature of purusha, and there is no papa to me. But I want to hold the punya. You know, the punya I want to identify. You know, they say no. You have to see both of them as illusions and stay as the witnessing consciousness, which is, seeing everything as a passing show. On the other hand, if we try to accept everything as Ishwara or as Brahman, we have no problem to accept uh, the punya karma, but the papa, we have no, but the papa, we need to reject, and we have no problem about that. I think we have seen it lately. The mind must be strong. I don't know if we have seen it in our English class or my Portuguese class. We have a weakness of the mind that makes it difficult for us either to reject everything or accept everything. It's a good karma yoga, we need to accept everything. When we are there to accept everything as prasada, it's a piece of cake. It's so easy to accept favorable circumstances. Yeah? But accepting cries and difficulties is difficult. And then you say, no, this is good, but I'm going to try the Satya Mithya, because Satya Mithya, I'm going to reject everything in Mithya. And then, okay, I'm Jnani, I'm reject everything in Minya. I must tell you, Jnani, to reject its pleasures, I say, now you have to reject the pleasures as well. So I no, 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 I'm rejecting everything as Mithya as far as it's Papa. But if it's Punya, I say that I cannot reject. So this Purusha is the very adhistanam, the support, the substratum. Prakriti is a Mithya superimposition. It does not stand without the support of Prakriti. The wise person sees all the time both the Prakriti nature of the world and the Purusha nature of the self. And this vision, of course, is the vision obtained only through Jnana Kakti, which is the vision of wisdom. So, and what is the benefit? He attains the highest goal, which is a sense of immortality, no fear of death. Or Swamiji is very careful to put it as well in a radical term like that. He says so the mortality is not going to threaten the yoni as much. You know, there will be maybe some tendencies to wish to stay a little longer. You know, I have a Brazilian student. She's a nice lady, with is well-educated woman with a nice intellect, and she's 82, 84, something like that. And she had a cancer, and she's still struggling from one treatment to another treatment. And I already had the image of her as she's a Yanni already, you know. But lately, I have been closer to her, talking to her, and I discovered that she's struggling with the idea of leaving the body, you know. And she's throwing prayers, and she wants to live a little longer, you know. She wants to enjoy life a little bit longer. So this attachment to this life dualistic experience, subject object duality, you know, is very common. It's very common. Even if one has the knowledge may not be clear and deep enough to completely neutralize this desire to stay within this duality, especially when this duality is no longer producing suffering. Because when the duality produces suffering, one may say, no, enough, enough. Duality always produces suffering, as we know. But through this process of self-inquiry, self-knowledge, the duality does not produce the suffering as it does in the case of the Anyani. And then the dangerous is one develops a certain attachment, attachment to God, attachment to life. But the most beautiful attitude is the one of some of these Mahatmas in our tradition that says, oh, if the Lord wants, why not? It's the same for me. You know, we've seen this duality or outside of this duality. Why you want to come back? Why not? Just to chant the name of the Lord and enjoy this beautiful vision of Brahman or this beautiful vision of Vishwarupa Ishwara. So, and now he comes to that point that he ruined itself. Uh, Even though the Anyani, Samsari, always blame somebody else for their suffering. According to Vedanta, the world is not the cause of our suffering. The cause of our suffering is self-ignorance. And because we hold on to his ahankara, this ignorance, false impostor, we are destroying again and again another birth. We are self-destructive in the sense that I get another birth, another opportunity, but I hold on to ahankara's self-ignorance, and I'm wasting another opportunity, is the more to the point word. So in the Isa Vatsia Upanishad, it says that everyone is committing a suicide. All sansaris are wasting over and over again another birth, as if people come to commit suicide. The Shankaracharya presents it in two different meanings. Have you seen this explanation from? No, I have seen it before with my Brazilian group. In more than one text, this concept of suicidal, spiritual suicide. So we have two levels of suicide here. Because I'm ignorant of my true nature as Brahman, as the self, as conscious existence, I am identifying myself with the mortal body, my Prakriti nature, my Anatma nature. So this ignorance of my higher nature leads to the identification with my Prakriti nature. And once I'm identified with my Prakriti nature, I become the doer and the enjoyer. As my true nature, my higher nature, I'm not the thinker, the doer, the sufferer, the enjoyer, the actor, and but with the sense of doership come the sense of doership. I own most of the actions, and because I'm identified as me as the doer, I'm going to be identified as the enjoyer as well, or the sufferer. So I'm caught into the realm of samsara, karma. There's no way. This is a wonderful subject. I love this subject because how we going to get out of karma? The only way to get out of karma, which is nothing but identification. I am the doer, therefore I am responsible for the results. I am the one thinking my thoughts, doing my actions, and so on. Therefore, I am. It's my prarabdha manifesting, my karma manifesting. Right? So we cannot identify as the karta without identifying as the bhokta. You know? The moment that we have a feeling inside, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, this is good, this is bad, this is good, I'm already identified with the bhokta. Okay? So the only way to avoid identification as the bhokta, because as long as I'm identified with the bhokta, I'm caught up with my prarabdha karma, my karmic cycle, right? Agami, yeah, and agami karma, and prarabdha is sanchita, okay? Because it's all I and mine. So the only way out is understand our nature, which is beyond the karta and the bhokta, and then we begin acting as an instrument of the Lord. And even if the action is not very good, for some due to some human reaction, there is no one say, "Oh, I did a bad action." This is the most relieving thing possible. Okay, you can take my words with you. You're never going to feel guilty again because you know the limitation as a karta. There is always room for making inappropriate actions here and there, or words. But you just say, "Oh, that's how it is," you know, without releasing your responsibility to observe your word and deed. But yet I'm doing the best, and that's all. Fundamentally, I am of the Purusha nature, and I don't feel myself to be the doer anymore. Therefore, I will never take myself to be the bhakta, the one reaping the results, the one who is earning punya and papa. The moment that I say my punya, my papa, you are caught up into causality, into the karmic cycle, which is going to bring many, many more births. This is a wonderful topic, but we're gonna leave it for our Friday. You guys prefer Friday or Thursday?
Either one works for me.
Yeah, Friday's better for me as well.
Okay, then we meet on Friday.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Yeah, Friday's better for me as well. I want to see if I beat this slight feeling of fighting against cold or flu. Okay, until next Friday. Shwara William.
Okay.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we did already our Purnamidana. Oh, did. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Arlindo. Great
Thank,
class again.
thank you.
Great material.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye bye.